Hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, hey, Carol. She's here in the chat. Let's share as all of the attendees are filtering into this Fierce Female Friday. Tell us where you're from, where you're zooming in from in the chat. Pull down the everyone tab under the who you're sending it to and share in the chat where you're zooming in from. We'd love to hear it. I'm zooming in and it's sunny today, sunny in Sherman Oaks, California. We're going to do something a little different. I'm tapping into my research roots. I've been all over the country. I've just got back from Miami. Prior to that, we were down in Redlands with Kara Shaw and giving all these great stats that we got going on. And I have a feeling that we have some questions about what's happening in the marketplace today. Just yesterday, we released our January numbers. And no, February numbers, excuse me. I'm getting a month ahead of myself, behind myself. But we just released our latest figures, and I wanted to give a brief update before we get into the watch party with Carol. And so I'll be doing that in just a minute. We have a wonderful challenge going on for Women's History Month this month, and happy St. Patrick's Day as well. It's so many festivities today. We have our Woman Up Challenge. I invite you all to be a part of the I Am Woman Up Challenge. It is a shine a light on her selfie challenge. So go to iamwomanup.com /shine a light, and we'll put that in the chat. And that has all the details about how we want to keep celebrating the women in our lives. And this is where the men who support us can get involved, because men have wonderful women in their lives, and they often ask us, how do we support you? How do we get involved in Woman Up? And there is definitely a way. You can shine a light on the wonderful women in your lives. So thank you to everybody who's been posting their Shine a Light challenge. I haven't started. I'm going to. It's just been a little bit of a crazy month here at CAR. Did I mention who I am? I guess I should. I'm Sarah Sudachan, Senior Vice President at the California Association of Realtors. I oversee our strategy and engagement, including Woman Up. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to bring to you some of the other stuff that we do at CAR, including a market update. Before I do that, though, have you got your tickets for Woman Up yet? Our retreat, our Woman Up retreat, is quickly upon us. I think we're under 100 days away, and we'd love for you to be there. They are sure to sell out. And it's June 13th and 14th, and we would love for you to be there. So we'll put the link in the chat to where we're going. We're going to Oside, California, very close to some who are near and dear in the chat. I'm seeing some Southern California people. It is not too far from many of you in the chat. So hope to see you there. Click on the link, iamwomanup.com. Scroll down, because we do have a lot of information. I'm getting questions about, what do I do? How do I do it? And then if you just scroll down the page, there are frequently asked questions are there. And so we have tons and tons and tons of information for you. All right, so we can get into our watch party with Karol Kochova, I am going to give a quick update. So again, I'm Sarah Sudachan. I have roots in research. I started in research working for Leslie Appleton Young 22 years ago at CAR, and she taught me everything I know. And I'm here to give you a quick market update, but I really can't talk about the market I would be remiss if I didn't talk about what's going on in the baking sector. And so let's see if my screen will work. Silicon Valley Bank. I got a lot of calls. I know our research team has got a lot of calls from you. from our community, from our realtor community, just wondering what the heck is going on, and why it matters. And what matters in the financial sector is certainty. And what the fall of Silicon Valley Bank represents is uncertainty. And it's the 16th largest bank failure, 16th largest bank in America and the second largest bank failure. So that's why it's such a big deal. That's why all the news articles are talking about Silicon Valley Bank. A lot of it is epicentered in California, where many VC and tech firms have parked their money there. The good news is we had the Biden administration backstop all and support all of the deposits for Silicon Valley Bank. But what really happened was an uncertainty. So they put a lot of money in the bond market when rates were near zero, and when rates go up, bonds go down. That's just Econ 101. And so that created a huge sell-off, which didn't make their depositors very happy. So there was a run on the bank on March 9th. And then the Biden administration came in and secured those deposits, which was good for Silicon Valley Bank and also some of the ancillary banks around it, but like First Republic. And then there was an additional infusion of cash from starting with JP Morgan Chase, putting and other banks, big banks, putting money into First Republic to help show the entire industry that the banking sector was not in turmoil, that it's okay. What all this means is really we're looking at what the Fed will do. And back in February, we thought, the Fed's going to probably raise rates about 25 to 50 basis points. Then if you look at this, by March 6th, that was the odds were a little bit more toward the maybe they'll raise it by half a percentage point or 50 basis points. And now we're looking at the odds are, could they raise it? Could they not raise it? If they raise it, it'll only be 25%. Everyone is banking on this. Everybody's looking at it, and the Fed meets next week. What's happening is rates are, at first rates dropped. Now I just looked up the 30-year fixed rate mortgage is about 7% for now. And we are hoping that all of this gets kind of everybody's fears and people start to calm down, and we start to see a more rational reaction to the financial sector. And we hope that will tinker into the mortgage rates, and very much because mortgage rates are our market, right? When mortgage rates go up, it just creates havoc on affordability, and it's not good for the housing market overall. So we want to see those rates come down. And when you do see the Fed increase rates, there is a larger risk of recession. And so that's what this is telling us. 9 out of the last 12 times that the Fed started on their interest rate rise to combat inflation, it turned into a recession. If that does happen, we hope it will stay mild, and we are optimistic that it will. I wanted to give you an update. This is the February numbers. I know I said January, but this is the February numbers. And, in January, we dropped about 40% year over year. So this January, this number of sales dropped by 33%. So it's heading in the right direction, even though it's still lower than a year ago. And the pace of sales are expected to increase in the spring season and the coming months. Pending sales, the improvements slowed a little bit in February. I do think that what you're seeing in the headlines and what your clients are seeing in the headlines does have a psychological effect. So we may see some fear of putting their house on the market, or, slightly lower pending sales in the coming, or slightly lower people putting their houses on the market in the coming months. But looking at prices are continuing to decline. And we're hoping they reach bottom in the next few months, so that way we can start to see some healthier signs in the housing market, especially as supply remains so tight. Supply, we have an insatiable amount of demand with only a few, very, very few listings, new listings coming onto the market. So we will see. The bottom line is, sales are weak. We have a little bit of economic uncertainty, but it really is about talking to your clients about what that means long term. We have a lock-in effect with supply, with most of mortgages under 5% on the market today. So that is a drawdown effect that you want to talk to your clients about. And then, prices are expected to decline, but we do have a supply shortage and pretty insatiable demand for California even still. And so we do see that improving along with economic factors, hopefully later this year. And I did it in 11 slides. So I wanted to share that with you. And I hope Deborah's happy that was 11. And with that, we are going to get into our watch party for Karol Kochova. I know she's here in the chat with us. This was an interview we did back in July of 2020, and many of the wisdom that she shared could help us today. So, Fatima, if you could show us the video.
Without further ado, I'm super excited to introduce Karol. Oh my goodness. Oh! Those of you who were at the event in 2019 saw this firecracker rock the stage in her Staying True to Yourself talk. I mean, it was fire. All right. If you saw her, say an amen in the comments, because that's how you were feeling, right? She is the broker owner of it's Koch Properties. Is that how you say it? Koch. Ooh, see, I should have asked that ahead of time. Koch Properties. She is a CPC certified professional coach, chair of diversity and inclusion on PAG, past president of the Burbank Association. Oh, man, I loved all of your virtual stuff when you were the president there. Wow. Past CAR director, member director for Women's Council Greater LA, former reserve sergeant with the LA Sheriff Department. Oh my goodness. Multicultural and, okay, she speaks not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 languages. And maybe 6 if you include the language of love. And to wrap that all up in a warm hug, she's a proud mama of a son and daughter. Ah, wow. I love all those bullet points, Karol. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Now I'm blushing. I can feel my face getting so hot already. I'm like, woo. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be sitting here on a Zoom meeting with you, because every time I watch your videos, you just can't help but elevate, right? You just feel so empowered and elevated, and you want to conquer the world. So thank you for
Who doesn't need that right now, right?
and so I'm so happy. I'm fired up. I may look calm, but I'm like fired up.
Karol, the first question we want to ask you is just, how are you doing? I mean, the past 3 to 4 months have been completely unexpected and unprecedented, and everybody's facing different challenges and handling them differently. So tell us a little bit about what the world looks like from your perspective.
Well, when this started, the first month, I think like probably everybody else, I was in shock, and I was on the couch watching TV and thinking, is this really happening, or is this a movie? And then as time went by, you know, we become immune to it. And I thought, okay, you know, I always wanted a couple of months of vacation to stay home, but I just thought people would frown upon that, like you're taking off 3 months of working. So I figured take advantage and just be home and kind of reinvent yourself. So I went through a lot personally. I think a lot of us have, and not that it's bad. I think we just all reinvented and took a closer life to our lives. And we understand how vulnerable we are. We understand how we're really not in control, right? We're dancers in life, and the stage changed and the music changed, and we need to learn a new dance. And it's all good. I always look at things in a positive way, whatever happens. Although it's very sad, and we're heartbroken with the number and the death and the families impacted. I'm not discrediting that. But in every situation, there's also a positive thing. You have to, I think that being proactive and thinking, okay, what can I do in this situation? This is a time where we look at life differently and question ourselves. How is the next chapter of my life? Do I love what I do? Do I want to stay in this industry? Do I want to start something new? I think we all had time to do that. We had time to reconnect with families and our children. I think a lot of humanity came back because we had become almost robotic, right? From the moment we wake up, and we didn't stop to smell the roses. And I think we all got a chance to do that. So that part of it I love. I think it's beautiful that the connection, the humanities being elevated in that aspect. And people always want to share and help and ask neighbors, friends, what you can do. So I love that part of it. But the heartbreak of this pandemic, I'm with all of you on that. I wish it wasn't. But
For
over
sure.
that, stay positive.
Sure. Well, I loved your response to that question because it's what you said was really profound. Leaders aren't made when times are easy. They're made in times of adversity, and how we respond to things really affects the people around us. It affects our families. It affects our teams. And I just want to know from your badass perspective, because thank you, Susie. She said, you know, all around badass. From your perspective, where are the opportunities for leaders to shine? Like, what can they be doing in this time to really make a difference and make change?
So, and that's a beautiful question. In my opinion, we are all leaders. In my opinion, that every single one of us is a leader. You know, they always say there's 2 people, either followers or leaders. I think there's 2 people. There's leaders and the ones that choose not to be leaders. So one of the things that comes up for me, you know, during my presidency last year, I had a different vision and a mission. It's really my life philosophy. And if people that watch my videos, it wasn't so much to bring you real estate news because that's at the tip of your finger, but to create a connection, this diversity and inclusion, and everyone to come together for the better good of the world and and everyone. And I remember, I was remembering this morning in my program book when I became president for the installation, I had the last paragraph. I clearly stated, as soft and kind as I am, there are certain things that rub me the very wrong way, and I stand. And the paragraph was, I'm here to do anything I can for you, but don't ever come to me to honor yourself by dishonoring someone else. And that's pretty much, you know, in today's world, we see this diversity and inclusion, unconscious bias being thrown around. And sometimes we don't really think, what does that mean? It's very simple. Diversity and inclusion, respect everyone, be equal with everyone. I mean, that's been my message all year long. You know, they made fun of me, calling me the kumbaya president. But unless you have the heart, how can you have people follow you, right? And there's times to take a stand, absolutely. My approach is always to take a stand with kindness, but if it doesn't go your way, then you can be a sergeant and be firm to get, you know, to get the word across, but to stay good. And I think so. What seeing right now, everyone that's being elevated and educated with the diversity and inclusion. I'm an Iranian Armenian woman. In our culture, I was not allowed to be a broker. I was not allowed to be a police officer. These are not things women do. These are not, you know, things that, you know, it's frowned upon in our community. And I'm sure a lot of different cultures have that. So where even women today don't have a voice, they don't have a stand. And that's why Woman Up is so near and dear to my heart, because I have experienced that. I've experienced racism. I've experienced discrimination, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. So by saying we are diverse, let's embrace all that. But unless you have the inclusion where everyone feels part of that team, right? And if we all think about it, at one point in our life, every single one of us, we had a feeling of not being included in something, whether we were a child on the playground, whether in school, whether in groups, whether, you know, and everyone thinks that the diversity, or it's around, you know, sex, race, origin. You know, it goes way beyond that, right? Way beyond that. It just trickles down to so many things. And it's just not a good feeling to have any human being experience that. So my motto when I teach my agents or everyone else is, nobody's gonna remember what I sold them, what I didn't do, how I negotiated, but they will remember how I made them feel. That's the one thing they're going to remember. So always operate from that angle. It just comes from love and acceptance. So I think because I was a woman that experienced that, and there were a lot of painful days. The exclusion factor, especially in school, we came here in the late 70s, and that was when there was, you know, the war was going on, the hostage situation was going on. I've got my ass kicked a lot in school, excluded a lot, and bullied a lot. So what I did was I turned all that pain into a constructive road, and not towards a destructive road that, okay, I'm going to do this to other people now, right? So I utilize that to make good in the world, because I know firsthand how it feels. And I brought that into my leadership. I bring it into my brokerage, and I bring it into everyone that I have contact with. So going back to the question, I'm sorry, I went off all over the place.
All good, all good.
Preach, it's good.
I know. And it was so good because I was there, and you say you never met a Mike you didn't love, right? And the Mike loved you because you spit some serious game on that mic. And I was at your installation and I felt the love, right? And it truly is how you lead. And that's unique. I think more leaders need to embrace that ethos of putting the human first.
Yeah.
Above all else. And I love your your comments around diversity and inclusion, I live it, I breathe it. It's one of my core values and passions. But what are some challenges to that? You know, it's easy to say, like, let's include everyone and let's make the table bigger. But I would love your perspective on what challenges you faced and how to overcome them.
So that's a good question. So I created last year, for many of you that know, I sat and thought, okay, I don't want to have coffee with the president Monday morning. So I decided, where is the safe place like in our life, right? So I created in the sandbox with the president. And the whole concept of that is, when we were kids, I went to the park and we ran to the sandbox. There was no gender, there was no color, everybody just embraced each other and just loved and played, right? That's what kids do. So that was the mindset behind it. So as you mentioned, a challenge. So the day that I announced it at the caravan meeting, one of the realtors came up to me and she said, in the sandbox, that reminds me of a cat litter. And for a second, you know, of course, I'm human too, right? For a second, I was like, and I smiled and I said, that's perfect. Consider it a place where you can come and dump your shit and get out.
Of course you
Better.
Perfect.
And I'll never forget that. But so you have to, when the
Wait. Let's talk about that, overcoming that challenge. Dump your shit and get out. I mean, talk about overcoming an obstacle head on. Let's just
It's just reframing, right? Just a new perspective.
And I thought, okay, normally if it was 20 years ago, I might have responded differently. But today I thought, you know, that's a perfect way to look at it. This is a place where you can all come and dump it here, and I'll listen, and you listen, and then we leave. So it rocketed pretty well, and I got to have the honor of a lot of the members that came to me, whether I was at all odd hours, because I wanted to create that safe place. And last year we went through, you know, losing Lee Archer. That was, it hit home, and it was hard. And of course, you know, the things people shared with me, I remember that I keep it confidential, but I had so many people that came to me and gave me the honor of holding that safe space for them to share their breakdowns. And I've cried with many, and I've laughed with many, and I've held their hands and they've held mine, and we got together like that. So going back to the question of what is a leader, I think if I label myself as a leader, but my tribe doesn't feel comfortable to come to me with the most vulnerable thing that they have without feeling that they're going to be judged or not heard or anything like that, then I'm not a leader. I don't consider myself a leader. Even when, you know, wearing a uniform and walking around with a badge and a gun, there is no higher power than that on the street, right? It's an honorable thing. It's a feeling that is not even describable when you have such power, but you also have to use it in such a constructive way, such a loving, giving, protective. So I remember, may God rest my mother's beautiful soul, when I would put on a uniform to go to work, she would look at me and laugh, and I would be like, what are you laughing at? She's like, I don't understand. Who's going to take you seriously? You're always laughing. And I'm like, I mean, there's a different command presence because your life is at stake anytime you're in uniform. But so my bottom line is, as a leader, we're not in an era we come from. I mean, we've traveled different worlds and continents, so we know what dictatorship is like. We know, and even back here years ago, we were afraid of our managers at work. When every time the manager was coming in or the supervisor was coming in, right, everybody was afraid. We would be performing. Today, it's a different way of being. I think today we're so educated and understand our manager is not someone to be afraid of. It's the leader that needs to empower you and embrace you and elevate you, because when they win, you win, right? We're a team. If my tribe is not winning, how am I winning as a leader?
Yeah. Well, and I think that flows beautifully into this next question around advice and resources, Karol. I think you know, we've seen over the last 3 to 4 months, we've seen women in leadership, like at the country level, right? Leaders of country who have brought forward incredible emotional intelligence, empathy, and a lot of the quote unquote soft skills that you're talking about, right? Embracing people, creating sacred, safe space for them to have conversations and share difficulties. And we're seeing them rise to this occasion, right? Those skills are really being plugged in. What advice do you have or resources that you've really found the most helpful when people are coming to you? Other leaders are saying, Karol, like you cared for me in that moment. You cradled me. How do I do that? What advice do you have for them?
That's an awesome question. So lately, and I always educate myself, and I watch a lot of other coaches or other leaders, and I like to see their style, their words. We're always learning. Emotional intelligence is a must that we should all at least touch on. If you don't want to dive deep into it, at least touch on the surface. Understand the concept of emotional intelligence. You know, when they do statistics and studies, people that have high IQs or they're academically advanced, that doesn't mean that they're going to highly perform. How many people do we know that have a PhD but absolutely no social skills? And I've interviewed so many people with a fabulous resume, right? Like top notch. But when they sit across you, there's absolutely no emotions. Yes, they have a high IQ, but their EQ or EI is here. So I think by raising this awareness, and if everyone understands that once you have someone in this caliber and their EI is down here, if you can elevate that, you have a very powerful being that can produce better, be a better human being, create a better world. So I think emotional intelligence, that's also very near and dear to me. And it's quite simple. It's quite simple. First, you need to understand yourself, our emotions, right? We need to understand that, you know, we're thoughting all day, right? Thoughts. To understand the thought that creates the feeling, or the behavior, and then there's an action behind it. If we're all sitting here thinking of a beautiful vacation, right? It's going to create an emotion for us of happiness. And I would love to go to Hawaii with you ladies. Just tell me.
We're right there with you, Karol. We're all envisioning it right now, all of us.
So those emotions cause us to jump into action, and we take a step, we're going to book the trip or not. Now, vice versa, if I'm having negative thoughts that's creating anger or depression or hurt, my actions are going to follow that. So the first thing with emotional intelligence, I think we need to be aware of us and like check ourselves. Where am I? Where's my emotions? And self-manage. And then you have to become aware of your surrounding, right? And in leadership, it matters. Every time I went on stage, whether at our meetings or anywhere else, the first thing I do is when I stand there, I absorb the room, meaning I'm absorbing the people that are around me to kind of see where they are and engage their level of energy, their level of feelings, and you kind of have to work with it. So if leaders, we just have to kind of be in tune and just present. It's really not rocket. You know, I don't want to get into the technical terms of emotional intelligence and the pillars and how the brain processes. I can do it on a webinar for you. I'd love to do it. But just basically be sensitive, be thoughtful, not just to your wants and needs, but to the wants and needs of the person that you're sitting across from or whoever that you're having an interaction with.
Karol, if I could just real quick, something happened to your audio. I'm not sure, like you dropped like 50% of your volume all of a sudden. And I want
that too.
let's
No.
no, it's actually, let's see. ABC.
ABCD testing.
That's better.
Oh, much better.
Yes.
Let me get closer.
Okay. Yeah. This is beauty, like forming beautiful blossoms all around us, and we want everyone to hear it.
It's a new camera mic I bought just for you ladies today.
We're
So
good.
I think that's it. I mean, you know, like I talked to a lot of corporations and here and there, and they're so focused on creating a better, of course, every corporation company wants to create a better environment, and they throw in these technical words of, you know, leadership, communication, and it's just, let's simplify it. That's my motto. Let's simplify it. It's just, let's get back to the basics of being a kind, respectful human being. It's very simple. Lesson at, you know, a different, or another skill that leaders should have is listening skills. And you know, there's 3 levels of listening. One is when I'm listening to myself as you're talking. I gotta go get milk today. Oh shit, the dog has no dog food, right? I'm looking at you, but I'm really listening to myself. Then you have the second, a level 2 listening, where I am listening to you. And then you have a level 3 where not only am I listening to you, but I'm also observing you and your body language and what your gestures are telling me and what you're, you know, to learn to listen. That's one of the main things, and without judgment, just hear them out.
Carol, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's one of my big things, is just this, all of a sudden when you realize you don't need to listen to respond, but you can just take in the other person, and it takes all the pressure off, and it really frees you to hear what they have to say. And I certainly feel that way even in this conversation. I mean, nobody's interrupting anybody, right? Everybody is listening. You know, I wanted to segue into just the huge subject matter of communication. One of the things that's happened over the last couple of months that I hear all the time is we need to over communicate today. And I think that's true, right? You're trying to keep teams going and keep everyone on the same page and get some innovation going. And the only way to stay on top of a rapidly changing environment is to communicate. And I'm just wondering what tips you have, given that people hear differently, people, you know, effective communication varies from person to person. You know, how do you navigate that, especially today when we're so separated?
Well, I think going back to the emotional intelligence part, we need to manage us first. So in order to be able to understand what you're saying and what everyone else is saying, and we have to be aware, because if once we're aware of it, it's kind of managed already. So if I'm aware that when someone's talking, I'm not listening really, I'm aware of it and I can hear, you know, and we're all, as human beings, right, especially women, we're troubleshooters. So if Sarah's telling me something, I'm already thinking, what's the solution? How do we get right? And she probably hasn't even finished telling me what she wants to tell me. And my brain is automatically trained to come up with a solution. So if I respond to you, you get the feeling that I didn't even hear what you said, because at part A, I'm coming up, so we always want to have, and it's not coming from a bad place. So we kind of have to just really like shut the voice down so we can hear.
Yeah.
And another thing, what I do, and I practice that with my kids, it works, you should try it. When people are angry, let's say if you're an agent or your employee or a coworker, anybody that comes to you, so when people are angry, they're talking really fast and they're frustrated, right? So all you do is say, for example, Leslie, I'm trying to process why you're angry. Can you please tell me a little bit slower? So when you do that, by them slowing down, they don't know what you're doing, but you're already calming them down, because the body's starting to respond to you talking a little bit slower. And then you'll see that if they were elevated at this level, by the time they tell you in a different tone and a different, you already brought them down. So little tricks of the trade. Maybe you don't want to share this with everyone.
The mind-body connection is real.
Yeah.
I'm totally using that with my kids.
I'm telling you, this works. You should just say it's okay that you're angry, but just explain it to me a little bit slower so I can understand. And then you diffuse them.
That's a great idea.
I'm gonna charge everybody $10 for this free time.
I was just gonna say, I think there's a whole lot of law enforcement that need that lesson, Carol. I mean, you could really speak into that. That would be an interesting thing for you, because you have that great background. Because my father-in-law does the same thing. He was a cop for 30 years. He does that. Could you slow down and explain that to me? Now I can't wait to go, I know your secret now.
See, now you can see. But it really works. It just, you kind of diffuse them without them knowing. Because if you say, calm down, you're angry, that's going to work against you. That never works.
Right.
Never. Yeah.
At the end of the day, everyone wants to feel important. Just
Yeah.
pretend everybody has this make me feel important sign written on
Right.
it.
Everyone wants to be heard.
That's it. And that opens up so many doors. I mean, like when I say it's very simple, we complicate it with certain titles or names or labels, and this is the technique. No, just we need to shut this and listen and know that I don't always have to give you an answer. I don't always have to be the solution giver. Just let me hear you out, and you'll see amazing results.
So good. You know, we have a lot of people actively listening to you, Karol. They are leaning in, posting in the comments, and I'm reading each and every one of them, and they just adore you, as do I.
Thank you. Thank you.
And everybody wants to be validated. Yes, Sylvia, everybody wants to be heard. I think that's a beautiful segue into what we want to hear from you, which is your parting words of wisdom, what you want people to remember and to take home with them.
As I always said in my president's message and videos, always be kind, always be giving, always be respectful, and just make others feel good, and that will make you feel greater than how you make them feel.
Beautiful.
I love that. I love that. You know, I want to make sure before we go, Karol, that you share about your power hour concept.
Mhm.
That you shared with us when we were originally talking about what the flow for today would be, and you were sharing about how you put together this kind of weekly power hour. I think that that's so powerful, and I want to make sure that we highlight that.
Thank you. Are we going to do that, or I'm sorry?
Yeah. Please share.
What's
Just
your-
what does that
yeah,
look
what
like?
is
What does
it?
your power hour look like? What is that? What do you do, and how does that work?
So a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was I've lost track of time day. I just know it's 2020. I was
Still
home.
2020. That's right.
I was home and I thought, everyone's sitting home, not motivated, fear. We're faced with something that is not just a financial hit, but more importantly, a physical and emotional, right? We have to worry about our physical not getting sick and dying from this. We're worried financially and emotionally. It's you have these stressors all around. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to create and invite 20, 30 people at least to a Zoom once a week. Created a power hour, and that's almost like in the sandbox. You can come and drop your crap there and express, and know that you're not alone. Like people tell me sometimes, you have your stuff together all the time, and I'm like, is that what it looks like? Because that's not what's going on the inside. I'm human too. I mean, we all lose our crap here and there. So it's just how you handle it. So creating that tribe, that power hour of getting everyone feeling included and just talking like from the heart, sharing your most vulnerable things and real estate and the family and the kids and the pets and whatever challenges. And when people did that, it was such an amazing turnout that they realized that, oh my God, I'm not alone. Doesn't matter what profession you're in. We're all kind of in the same situation as far as our emotions and the fears that we're going through and the concerns and being anxious about them. I go through it. I mean, there was a time I thought I'm going to change careers. I want to get out of this. I just want to open up a little boutique where people come to me, buy whatever they want and leave. And, so we all go through it. But that power hour just really, really elevates everyone.
I love that. I have a feeling Sabrina's going to be doing power hour. She's saying she loves it.
I'm going to do a power hour. I need a power hour. I'm going to do your power hour.
Well, and I think that's, that really is the heart and soul of the Woman Up community, is sharing these ideas, because there's someone who's listening, whether it be live today or in a replay here or on YouTube in, who knows, 2 months, that needs to hear this, that they don't need permission to do their own power hour. They don't need to wait to be asked. They can actually do the inviting. And I think that that's so beautiful. That allows more people to be seen, heard, loved, understood, invited. Oh, thank you so much, Karol.
Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Lives were changed today. Ripples were created.
I thank you again.
Yes, yes.
I'm so happy that you have brought such a beautiful community together. Because last year at Woman Up, it was just, I've seen the baby grow from when you started. And last year it was, I mean, there was fire in the air. Everybody was loving and hugging and so many connections and relationships. And you just left so fired up.
Right.
Such a fuzzy wuzzy good loving feeling. So can't wait to do it again in person.